It's Memorial Day, so you know what that means. We got to talk about Double or Nothing, which I believe, Doug, is one of the greatest pay-per-views I have ever seen.
Thank you. I was just going to say, this may be, pound for pound, one of the best pay-per-views I've seen maybe ever.
Yeah, that's what I said too. My buddy Mike texted me just a little bit ago, and he was like, wow, what a show. And I said, maybe the best pay-per-view I've ever seen. Definitely top 5.
Oh, yes.
I don't, and right now, I don't know what I would put above it. Maybe Mania 17, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, this was so good.
Yeah. It was an incredible show. Great job to everybody involved with this, top to bottom, inside and out. Even the buy-in I thought was better than I expected it to be.
Yes, yes. And I think here's why, because two things that we were concerned about either didn't happen or did happen. The buy-in didn't have too many matches. They didn't try to overload it. And with Double or Nothing in particular, the storylines made sense. And they either progressed or paid off, which was so huge because we were real concerned that it was going to be, what? And I don't think it was. I think they did a great job from top to bottom storytelling this entire night, and I was such a fan.
No, I agree. And I think the other thing that they did that was great is they kept the main card to what had been announced, right? They didn't cram other things in there. And they gave every match the perfect amount of time to breathe.
Yes.
So we weren't rushing through anything, and it did not feel to me like the marathon that these things usually are, where by the time we get to the main event, I'm just exhausted. Like,
right.
It was the perfect number of matches. They timed it really well. I think everything here worked. The set was great. They did a cool thing with the two levels of pyro. They did a tremendous job. Everybody involved in this show, man, if you aren't celebrating today, you should be. You guys killed it.
Again, one of the best pay-per-views, top to bottom, start to finish, because a lot of times you'll have really good action. Story didn't make sense, but it was good. I thought 98% of this, top to bottom, both story and action, was amazing. Just so good.
Yeah.
So well thought out. You could tell they planned and really work on the craft of the storytelling and the in-ring art. So good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really have few, if any, nitpicks here. I mean, it was great. It was absolutely great.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
So with that, let's dive into, I mean, I would say what worked and what didn't, but from that, you can pretty well tell what worked was everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I will say I have one nitpick.
Okay.
I have
what is
one nitpick, and it's with the opening tag match, and it's minor.
Okay.
And I even wrote minor quibble.
Okay.
But if you're going to use barbed wire and nails, they had better leave a mark.
So I can explain why they didn't.
I mean, I understand why. Then don't use it.
No. But I can. There's a specific reason why there was only one instance of blood, maybe two, and in each case it was because they got busted open the hard way. Because the New York State Athletic Commission exists.
Again, that's fine. Then don't. They didn't need to use a barbed wire, and they didn't.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what all I'm saying is, if you're going to do those things, have them leave a mark. And if they aren't going to and show, then don't do it. Otherwise, loved it. And I admit, it's a minor quibble.
Sure.
But when you've seen them do it in the past and you've seen the repercussions, AEW fans are smart enough to know.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. So just to explain that, if you don't know, in states that have an athletic commission, a lot of the time they don't let you blade. They don't want you to bleed on purpose. You bust it open the hard way, that's one thing. But so that's why, barbed wire, nobody was bleeding, etc. Yeah, I get it.
I get it. Then I don't think that was necessary. Again, the minorest of quibbles. That's all. That's it. But when that's what I'm nitpicking, you gotta know the show was dope, because that's my only, I think that's my only beef the entire night.
And it's so funny to me too, because for so long the narrative around AEW, and particularly a Jon Moxley, was y'all bleed too much.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, Mox, when they don't run a lot of house shows, but they did a couple of them like a few years ago. Mox bled at a house show. Like he was blading at a house show. Like, what are you doing, dude? You know, and like now here we are going, you didn't bleed enough tonight.
And that's
it's
not
just
even
funny.
it. That's not even that they didn't
No,
bleed.
I know.
And actually, what this proved to me is you don't need to bleed as often as you've done. And that's why I think you didn't need the spikes or the barbed wire. That, and again,
yeah.
My only nitpick, I don't want to focus too much on it because that is literally my only nitpick.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was just to pop the crowd anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Which, by the way, while we're on everything that worked, New York, great job. That crowd was red hot and made everything feel huge.
Yep.
Apparently, tennis arenas for the win. The acoustics were amazing in there. I mean,
even Renee pointed it out when they introduced Mick Foley, and it wasn't even a half full house, and it was so loud because people were still coming in because the buy-in hadn't started. Oh, it was loud. So good. Way to go, New York.
That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. And it made me a little jealous that I wasn't there. Like, because I would have loved to have been part of that atmosphere and part of that arena. So great job to everybody that showed up in New York.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Absolutely. It was, man, again, everything was fired on all cylinders, including the crowd. So good.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really great. So we mentioned Mick, who did, of course, make his first appearance for AEW at the buy-in. And I'm going to go back to, I still believe AEW should have an on-screen authority figure. And I think it should be Mick Foley now. I think put him on TV as much as you can because everybody loves Mick. And I think it should be him.
Yep. I am not going to argue that. That was 100% the right call if they ever do it. He was so over. Of course, he's in New York. He got so much love. And since we're talking about Mick, and then we're probably not going to be going in chronological order, but him and MJF, gold.
Yeah, that was great. And if I recall correctly, I think at some point a few years ago, there had been some talk about Mick doing a final match, sort of like Flair did. And I thought it was going to be against MJF, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
Or at least MJF was on the short list of guys that Mick said he wanted to do it with. So it makes total sense for MJF to come out and talk shit to Mick Foley anyway.
Yep.
But I liked that it was, if I recall correctly, if I have that right, it was a nice little kind of callback to a thing that almost happened and didn't. But yeah, MJF and Mick were great together. I mean, look, I get it. Mick has been through a lot and everything, but that dude is still money on the mic. He was really good. He was really good.
That was golden.
The only
what
other
else about
things
the
on the
I was
that's
just
what I
going
was
to ask.
about to
What
say.
else
The
about
only
the
other
buy-in?
things on the buy-in, that jumped out to me. I really liked the women's tag title eliminator match here because I liked that it was the closest we came to somebody going the distance with Divine Dominion. I would like to see them run this back with Zeta Steel and whoever the other woman was. I never did catch her name.
Viva
I thought
Van was her name. Viva Van.
Okay, yeah. I thought Ty J coming in to make the save was interesting, and I guess we're going to start heating up Divine Dominion and Ty J, which is fine, because I like Ty J and whatever. But you're going to have to do a bit of work there, I think, to make me believe Ty J's got an actual shot here whenever we do this match. You have to do a little work. But it's interesting.
If they continue to do what they have done with Divine Dominion, if you want to see that heat up, you're going to have to watch Collision because Divine Dominion has basically been relegated to only Collision. I knew Ty J were getting back together because of the last Collision. So if you want to see that, I have a feeling that's where you're going to have to watch.
Yeah, more than likely. And it will be interesting to me to see how and where they build it, assuming that I have that right, and they're going to build a program between those two. To me, though, the main takeaway from that was it looks like you're actually going to build a program around the women's tag titles again for the first time in a minute. And that's what I've been asking for. So,
yep,
great. Let's do it. Other takeaways I had from the buy-in, Death Riders and the Ops I thought were fine. It was a good match. Everything was a good match. It just felt a little, I don't know. It just felt a little like we're slapping these guys together because they're kind of beefing, and I don't know. I wasn't not into it, but I wasn't super into it either. I will say the Death Riders doing push-ups during the Ops entrance was funny. That popped.
That is fun. My biggest takeaway from that match is Shibata needs to be on TV more. He can go, and I will take him and Claudio. I will take that feud all day. I liked seeing those two throw down. That took me from being mildly interested to, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love Shibata. I've been a big fan of his for a long time. So, yeah, if you're going to put him on TV more, let's do that. I like that dude a lot. And a great story of a guy who, you know, it doesn't get talked about as much as like with Edge or Bryan Danielson or whatever, of like, this is a dude who was told, you are done. If you wrestle again, you will die. And now look at him.
I did not know that. I was ignorant of that.
He suffered a bad head injury many years ago in New Japan, and it was like, no. If you take another bump, you could die. Dang. You know, it wasn't even like the Edge or Danielson thing of like, you may never walk again. It was, no. You could die. And he came all the way back, and look at him now. You know, I mean, you'd never know.
Nope. He looked great.
So I love Shibata. If you're going to put him on TV more, like, hell yeah. Big fan.
The other match, Shane Taylor versus Conglomeration and Boom and Doom and whatever. Whatever. It was what it was. But I will say, Big Boom gets a big pop. So hats off.
He does.
For me, the biggest takeaway was afterwards you had Eddie, Kingston, Mance Warner, and Ortiz back. And I didn't know Mance Warner was in the company. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, so I did kind of a stream of consciousness here in my notes. So let me just read this to you, what I wrote down from this match. Look, it's this match again, and we really couldn't find a way to get OC and Briscoe on the main show. And poor Shivani trying to sell that there's heat between Shane Taylor Promotions and the conglomeration. Okay, sure. It was fine, but Nigel made it weird talking about grown women going home with a kid.
Yeah. Nigel.
Eddie, and now here's where we get way stream of consciousness. Not that wasn't anyway. Eddie makes the save. Can we have Eddie back on Dynamite, please? And when did they bring Mance Warner in? And now in all caps, I'm so confused. Yep. This felt to me like something that actually could be an interesting story. But you got to import it to Dynamite then. Doing it all on ROH is just not going to get it done. And look, I love Eddie. Everybody loves Eddie. I don't know why you've relegated him to ROH, especially when you're not. Like, I know people got really mad at them for putting all the ROH stuff on Dynamite for as long as they did. I didn't have a problem with it. I know people did. So they stopped doing it. I think you got to cross promote, though. Like, you've 100%. Got to at least say, like, hey, Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and Mance friggin' Warner out of nowhere challenged for the 6-man tag match, you know, last week on ROH. You can see it now at, you know, whatever the URL is, Watch ROH or the, you know, the Honor Club, sign up, whatever. Like, they need to cross promote that better, because I'm kind of interested in that. And I had no idea. I'm with you. I had no idea Mance Warner was in the company. I think all that broke my brain.
I think they can take one backstage segment away on Dynamite and show a recap package of what happened last week on ROH. You don't even need to go full into it. Just show the highlights of the matches and who got the Duke, and have some commentary over it. That's it. You give us 2 minutes or less, and that would do so much more to help with that storyline.
Yep.
Again, nitpicking.
Yeah. Oh, totally nitpicking. Yeah. And
although, did you notice, I wrote this down, after the match, Nigel McGuinness is trying to do the Rizzler thing, and no one's paying attention.
But no, I missed it.
He did it for like 40 seconds, and Excalibur didn't look at him. Tony Schiavone didn't look at him. And finally, he's doing this over and over. And finally, he just goes and stop.
That's funny. Apparently, I missed it too. So
funniest thing I've ever seen. So stupid. So good.
There's what I came to realize just reading stuff online is I actually missed several kind of subtle things like that. So I guess I'm going to have to go watch it again. Oh, well, darn.
Watch one of the best pay-per-views ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't that just... Everybody feels sorry for me that I'm just going to have to watch it again.
Poor guy.
I know. So anyway, so that pretty much covers the buy-in.
Yes.
You talked a bit about your little nitpicks with the Copen Cage FTR match.
So little.
My nitpick with this, and again, it's nitpick, was, as I've been saying for a couple of weeks, overbooked, because I Quit. It's a New York street fight, which it's an I Quit match. Anything goes in those anyway. So you didn't need that. And then you had the stipulation of if they lose, Edge and Christian never team together again. That was a lot, dude. Like Excalibur setting that up, it was a mouthful that man had to get through. Yeah. So a little overbooked. Otherwise, though, I thought it was a really entertaining match.
I may be this. I don't know if I'm setting myself up for mockery or not, and that's fine. I wrote down.
When are you not?
That's true. I mean, look at this face. I wrote down damn near perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought, again, a lot of the stuff we talked about, it wasn't too long. Was the setup overbooked? Yeah, a little, but it did all eventually make sense. But I felt like they didn't linger on anything too long. And holy crap. Hats off to Stoke and Beth Phoenix, because Beth, I watched it a second time and it wasn't quite as bad as I thought the first. Her introduction to the steps looked brutal. But Stoke going through the burning table, hats off, buddy, because they were unsung hero of that match. But everything was great. Like I thought it was so well played. They did what they needed to do. I like I said, damn near perfect match from start to finish. I thought it was timed perfectly. I loved the psychology and the whole thing. Having Beth come in and help, perfect. I loved it. I thought it was a great match.
It was really good. And I'll be honest with you, when they started with that, because we've talked about this, the opening match is in many ways, if you're not going to be the main event, then you want to be the opener, right? Because they're saying you're setting the tone. We believe in you. I was a little surprised that this was the opener.
Same.
They crushed it. They knocked it out of the park. It was great. It was really good. Yeah. It was really, really good.
Again, if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth just that match alone. I thought that match was that damn good.
Yeah, I agree. Now, you mentioned that it was an almost perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
I present to you now what I think may have been the perfect match. Okada and Takeshita for the International Championship. Dude, I think this is the match of the year, and it's going to be hard to beat it. Like,
can I read you what I wrote?
Yeah.
This match was, again, damn near perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I would go so far as to say I think it was perfect. I mean, I can't think of anything to nitpick here. At first I put down possible match of the night, and it's going to be really hard to top this one. It's match of the night. No, people came close. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it. People came really close to taking the crown from them. But to me, it's match of the night. And like I said, I think this is now your leader for match of the year.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be really hard for somebody to beat that between now and the end of the year. Not impossible, but it's going to be really hard for somebody to take that away from them. I haven't looked. I got to believe Meltzer's given this like 12 stars. Dude, I needed a cigarette and a nap after this match. It was that good.
That was hard.
Dude, it was incredible. They were great, which I think we knew they would be, but that was a level of greatness that I think I didn't even expect from them, because I have a legitimate question about what does Okada have left in the tank at this point in
Yeah.
his career?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer last night was a hell of a lot.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
God, they were good. And then everything post match I thought was great. Just incredible.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of times when you get these matches, match of the night or even match of the year, 90, well, I'm going to say like maybe 80 to 75% of the time, it's because of just the in-ring action. But this, they did. You hear it a lot. They told the story in the ring. These guys did. They told the story. And I thought the Don Callis interactions made sense and it worked. And it set up the post-match stuff with Kyle Fletcher coming back. And I think you're right. Instead of damn near perfect, this one was a perfect match because I didn't have any quibbles over it. And it was so good. And the Kyle Fletcher coming back, didn't expect that so
Me
soon.
neither.
Super
Yeah.
glad to see him back. And the swerve was really well done. Really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that whole return, you start with, just like you said, the surprise of him coming back, which I did not expect, because I thought he was going to be out several months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that in and of itself was good enough. And then him coming in and staring down Okada and the rest of the family. And then this I thought was so good from Fletcher when he turns and he's got that big smile and he's like, "Look at you, man. Like, yeah, you did it." And then just wrecks Takeshita. I was like, brilliant, because when he came out, my first thought was, okay, he's going to turn on Takeshita. And then
Yeah.
everything he did, I went, oh crap. So they're going to split Andrade, Fletcher, and Takeshita off of the family. Like, this is fascinating. And then the turn, like, you had me completely hooked with everything that they did. And I think it's fascinating because you look at the storytelling potential that comes out of this, right? I think it opens up a lot of possibilities of, does Takeshita specifically go to war with Fletcher? I got to imagine this is him officially leaving the Don Callis family. Is he going to go to war with the whole family? Do we continue him in Okada? There's a
Well,
lot of different ways they can go, and I got to believe this is going to be a red hot angle by the time we get to All In.
and what I do like about it was the subtlety of, is Okada 100% behind Fletcher, because they both grabbed the belt and then Okada was like, no, 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 you're right. You can, whatever. So I wrote down Fletcher and Takeshita with shades of Okada. That alone, yes, I'm in. Love it.
Yeah,
Really
it
well
was
done.
flawless execution of everything that they did there. And like I said, you open up so much potential here for where they can go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's a bad option. I think whatever angle they take, it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And too often when you get these return turns, they're so telegraphed. And even though we both thought when he came out, oh God, he's going to turn, they had me back into, that's cool. I'm glad that we aren't,
yeah,
proto, whatever they call them, proto alpha or
Proto Sheeta.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, that's going to stick around. And then he slaughtered him with,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God.
Well, and I mean, it was so good too. Like him walking out and the look on his face and taking off the jacket and rolling up the sleeves. I'm like, oh snap, we're gonna get face Fletcher here for a little bit. And like,
Right.
when you can take a couple of guys like us that have watched a lot of wrestling, and you take that whole arena and you take all these people online, and you had us, man, you had us going, oh, okay, we're going to get face Fletcher and Proto Sheeta versus the Don Callis family. And then the flip. Incredible.
So well done.
Just incredible. Yeah.
So well done. Loved it.
Yep. Yep. Then we got our first match of the Owen. It was the women's side with Mina and Athena.
Mhm.
Tough spot to be in following likely the match of the year.
Yeah.
That said, I thought they did a really good job.
I
I
thought it
thought
was
they were
great.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that match was so solid. This is the one that I thought was going to be the all right pee break, but the
Mhm.
crowd, the New York crowd, thank you, so into it. I thought Athena and Shirakawa looked great. I thought Shirakawa looked better than she has in a while. She hadn't looked this good since Tony Storm first left, and they were really heating her up, and then they kind of backed off a little bit. She looked great in this match. Athena looked amazing. I thought she broke Shirakawa's nose, and I'm still not convinced she didn't
I
with
think
that
she
curb
did on
stomp
that stomp. I think she did.
because that was brutal,
Yeah.
but just a really good match. And Athena looked great, and she put some doubt into, the Owen for a minute.
Yeah, so my thoughts on this, again, I think if I'm gonna nitpick this show at all, this is one of the places where I nitpick it, and it's because of something that you mentioned of they had started heating up Mina and they've backed off, and I don't understand why, because as we've talked about a lot, you have a women's division that I think is missing a main character. Like,
Mhm.
it should be Thekla, but you really haven't built the division around her the way you did around Tony Storm.
Yep.
But more than that, Thekla needs a rival. Thekla needs a legit rival,
Mhm.
and I don't think you've got it. And
No.
having a built up Mina Shirakawa that the crowd loves anyway makes a lot of sense to me.
Mhm.
Now, that said, I have no problem with Athena going over here. I'm a big fan of hers. She's another one that I would like to see more on Dynamite. If she wins the Owen, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm totally on board with that. I have
Yeah, I'm
no
fine
issue
with
with
that.
it. So yeah, but
Yeah.
it was really good. Really good match. Um, yeah, my only nitpick is again my issue with kind of what they've been doing with the women's division for a while, which is nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's
You
nothing to do
know?
with the 2 inside the ring.
No.
They did a great job telling the story they could, and the
Yeah.
match was great. It's more of just an overall women's division issue than them. So,
Yeah. But hopefully some of that's going to get sorted out here pretty quick. We'll see.
hopefully.
We'll see. Boy, then another one that I thought, if Takeshita and Okada were not on this card, this may have been match of the night. Moxley and O'Reilly.
Yes.
Um,
Man.
yeah. So my two main takeaways from this were, I think it's the right move to keep the belt on Mox because what I like is this idea of making the Continental Championship kind of the work rate title of this is almost like the pure championship in ROH, because
Mhm.
people are banned from ringside and it's the 20-minute time limit and like we're just gonna wrestle, right? I like that. And I think
Yes.
Moxley is the guy to carry that flag. Um, the other takeaway I had from this was Kyle O'Reilly comes out of this looking like a dude, not looking, he comes out of it as a dude who can hang with John Moxley, which is a good spot to be in any company, but particularly in AEW. Now, where they go with that from here is, I think, the big question because I would hope it would create storylines around the Trios Championship that O'Reilly is 1/3 of. I'm not sure it's going to go that way, but I think it's a good spot for O'Reilly to be in, and we'll see how and if they capitalize on it.
The first thing I thought when that match was over was, "Ooh, how interesting would it be if Mox brings Kyle under his wing like he did with Ospreay?" And
Mhm.
now you have Kyle, 1/3 of the Trios champions, hanging and banging with the Death Riders.
Yeah.
What kind of tension is that gonna bring? But it would make sense. You know,
Yeah, it
it
would.
he showed respect at the end of the match. I think he's finally getting around Moxley's finally getting around to really delivering on the storyline he was trying to build when he first started the Death Riders, which, okay, I guess better late than never, but
Yeah.
I am liking this part of it and
Yeah.
showing that mutual respect and being like, "Okay, yeah, let's now maybe you and I can work together because we figured each other out. Let's do this." I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's one of the first things I thought of.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you totally on that. Speaking of Osprey, he and Joe were next, and this one really came close to taking match of the night for me.
And so good.
really came close. They were great. The Styles Clash on Joe was awesome.
Yep.
Like, when he went for it, I was like, "No, Joe's gonna get out of it, right?" And nope. Um, that may have been the most unique Boston Crab I've ever seen, where Joe
Yeah.
had his legs over his head.
Yeah. That was
Um,
weird looking.
yeah. This was a great match. This was just a great, great match all the way around, and it really, for me, seeing this kind of new-ish version of Ospreay who can do all the things he did before, but now also has a ground game thanks to the Death Riders.
Yeah.
He's my pick. He's gonna win this thing. He's going to All In
Oh,
where he's gonna take the title. I
I,
I mean,
I,
he just is.
I think it's obvious that this Owen for the men is built around having Swerve and Osprey face off in the finals and having Osprey take it all.
I
But
agree. Yeah.
I a what I really liked is, like you've mentioned, the Death Rider influence continues to show in his style, and it wasn't like an overnight switch. It was a little here, a little there, and it just keeps growing and growing, which I really enjoy that. And kind of like when we asked with Okada, I know people are wondering how much does Joe have left in the tank? Holy balls, if last night was any indication, he still has plenty to give and looked great doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He's definitely got more in the tank. It's up to him if he wants to keep going,
Yep,
obviously, but he's
yep.
definitely got plenty in the tank. So great, great match there. Um, and I'm with you. I think it's going for Swerve and Osprey with Osprey headed. I think Osprey's headed for the title at All In. I've thought that for a while, but
Mhm.
this is only cementing it. Um, Speaking of Swerve, I thought he and Bandido were really good, man. Really, really good. Bandido uncorked some of the most, well, really both of them, but Bandido uncorked some of the most original offense I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call it. I'm going with pop up Hurricane Rana, and there was a poison Rana that they hit to the outside. That
That may
it
have
was
been move of the night.
incredible.
That may have been
Yeah,
move of the night because it was so bonkers.
I have a list of all the things that made me make some sort of noise during the match that we'll get to. Obviously, those are in there, but
Absolutely.
the offense in this was incredible. The creativity was incredible. They were really good together with both Joe and Osprey and Swerve and Bandito. I'd like to see more. I know you have the tournament going, and that's fine. You should focus on that with those guys. But if we can find a way to get those guys in the ring together again, I please, because wow.
Yeah. And one of the things I noted down, and part of it is we didn't watch ROH.
Yeah.
So you and I both felt there wasn't near as much story going into this match, and it felt from just watching. If we're only watching Dynamite, it did feel a little rushed and not as much heat on it as there could be. But I thought they still both did a really good job of telling the story in the ring, both going after basically, trying to kill each other by breaking each other's necks because there were a lot of moves focusing on their necks, and
Yep.
they were both just going back and forth on it. So I thought for the time they had, what little some people may have seen of it, I thought they did an amazing job telling that story in that short amount of time, basically in that one match. And again, you saw why Bandito is in the position he's in, and you saw why Swerve thinks he's the most dangerous because he was freaking dangerous. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was excellent. Again, you talk about in-ring storytelling. This whole show is a clinic on it, quite
yeah,
honestly.
so happy with this show, man.
Yeah, me too. Even the next match, which was the women's four-way, which going into it, we had a lot of issues with it. Look, if you're going to ask me to pick arguably the weakest match on this show, it's probably this one, which is not fair
No, it's not.
because the bar is so high that on any other show, we're going, that was a good match.
Yeah.
You know?
This is one of the better women's matches from start to finish that
Yeah.
we've seen on AEW television in a while. In a while. It was really, really good. The only thing I felt this way going in, and I still feel a little weird about the match itself, is Jamie Hayter's role.
Yeah.
Just uh, it seemed to me that the only reason she was thrown into this match was for the ending,
Yep.
and I don't think that's fair to Jamie Hayter.
I agree. And we haven't talked about it, but I had the thought for a while now, especially on our last episode when we were talking about Jamie Hayter hasn't talked like at all about this match. I was like, she's there to eat the pin. Like that's what they're gonna do. And I had a suspicion that it would go the way it did, where the Shida Statlander stuff was gonna melt down, and so those two are gonna kind of take each other out of it, and then Tekla's gonna pin Hayter. And that's basically what happened, as I recall.
Well, I think Thekla actually pinned Statlander, but it was because
no, you're right. She did. You're right. She did. Yeah.
But it was because Hayter took Shida out of the ring, which was her,
Right.
That's what I mean by that was her job, was to interfere with that so that Thekla could get the win over one of the two.
Yeah.
So
look, again,
I feel bad for Jamie Hayter in this because she looked really good. Her and Stat going toe to toe, power for power. Look, it's always going to pop me. I think that's great. Those two are really, really good together and really good in the ring. Finally, we see Shida fully turn on Statlander. Yep, great. I was not 100% sold it was going to happen. Glad to see it happen.
Same. Yeah.
But and again, I thought Thekla looked really strong in this. They need to pitch her like this way more often. But like you said, what struck me earlier is when you had mentioned Thekla doesn't have a nemesis. And what I realized was, holy crap, they're caring more about Statlander Shida than they are giving Thekla a main enemy. And they should. And if it's not going to be Shirakawa, you need to step Jamie Hayter up because you apparently forgot she's in a tag team unless you need her to be in a three-way.
Right.
So let her go to it. Let her step up and be like, hey, let's go. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, they've sort of positioned it of Jamie Hayter being Tekla's rival. But again, I don't think we've done enough storytelling on it to really build that. And they haven't positioned Jamie Hayter in a way where I believe she's going to beat Thekla. Because the best way that I think you can do it at this point, because look, to me, it's pretty obvious they want to leave this belt on Thekla for a while. And that's fine.
Yeah, I think
I have no issue with that. But you've got to have Jamie Hayter pick up some non-title wins over her.
Yeah.
And that just isn't happening. If this is going to be the rivalry for the women, then you've got to position Hayter a lot stronger than you're doing.
Yep.
Which makes me think that they're not actually committed to that being like the A story. I think you're right. The A story for the women is Shida and Statlander.
And has been.
Fine. Yeah, but there's not a lot of stakes there. You know what I mean?
Have Hayter pin her in a tag match, then have her do like an eliminator match and have her win there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. Or, look, if you want to end up doing like a triple threat, that's Shida, Statlander, and Hayter for the number one contender, which I think you could convince me of that.
Yeah.
Then Hayter's got to win, and she's got to look good doing it.
Yep.
Yeah,
she can't win because the other, Statlander screwed Shida or vice versa. Hayter's got to come in, get a clean pin, and establish herself as, I should be the one. You two go ahead and keep fighting. I don't care.
Right.
I'm going after the belt.
Right. So, absent kind of that main foil for Thekla, it's just that's what's got them stuck in the mud, in my opinion, is you got to get somebody that is going to be the main rival to her. And you've got some time to build it because you're going to have kind of the palate cleanser of Forbidden Door in between this and All In. But
it just struck me why it's not going to be Hayter.
Because it's going to be whoever wins the Owen.
It's going to be the mystery entrant. If it goes the way you and I think it might, if it's Mercedes Moné coming back as a face, now you have it. And again, that's cool, but you're doing Hayter a disservice by putting her in this role where she looks kind of strong, but kind of not. And she's not really in the tag team because they're not wrestling all the time together. And
I
so
would
I think it
argue,
is that mystery opponent that could end up being the one challenging for the title and being Tekla's foe. But if
yeah,
it's Mercedes, I have a feeling that she's just going to come in and take the belt, and that'll be the end of Tekla.
yeah, you're probably right. I have a lot of thoughts on that. First thought is, I think Jamie Hayter, I think they've hurt her in this. I think
Yeah.
you've taken her from being this, heavy hitter, almost. The comparison I'm going to make is Hangman,
Mm-hmm.
not from the standpoint of she's the main character, the way Hangman allegedly is, but the character similarities were there of like, this person's going to come in and just kick your ass, right? Even if they lose, you earned it because they kicked your ass, right?
100%. Yeah.
I think they've hurt her from that standpoint. I think they've hurt her credibility a bit. It hurts the Brawling Birds in the process if you're going to try and build them up. And so yeah, I would say they have done a huge disservice to Jamie Hayter. The other thought that I had there was, look, if Mercedes is the wild card, and she probably is, and if she's going to win the Owen, and she probably is, and if she's going to All In to take the belt off Thekla, and again, she probably is, that's fine, but then do a program.
Mm-hmm.
Have Thekla just, hunt her like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, do a program with it, and now, great, I have no problem with you switching the belt and all that there, if you build an actual program out of it. But if Thekla basically fades into obscurity after that, I'm going to write a strongly worded email.
Yes. I made note of it, and it didn't even hit me until you were just talking about how, they've done damage to her with the birds even. She wasn't wearing her birds gear. She's wearing different gear.
No.
She was doing her pre-birds gear type vibe.
Yeah.
So, and it is weird because they were pitching her as, like you said, the Hangman character, but they also pitched Statlander as kind of the Hangman character. And they, so it's like, you hadn't really talked about Hayter like that. And then this match happens, and you're pitching her as the strong one when you've been pitching Statlander as the strong one this whole time. And so the women's division needs some care, some love and attention. It's not too far wrong, but it's not settled yet, and some attention needs to be made towards that.
They need character definition real bad.
Yep,
real bad. Because
characters.
I was just
moving on to the next, but go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. No, I was just gonna say, like, they just need character definition, because I can tell you Mercedes' character, I can tell you Tekla's character,
Willow,
yeah.
The sisters.
Okay, yeah, I could give you the Sisters of Sin, yeah.
Harley.
I'm not sure what she's at right now. You know what I mean? Like, I guess she's still kind of the goofy, fun-loving, whatever, but
speaking of doing harm to attack, oh my gosh, Harley Cameron relegated to the buy-in, coming out with with the Rizzler.
Yeah.
What?
And again, Nigel making it weird with all that. Yeah, the point is, they need to sit down and, TV shows have what they call their Bible, where it's like, here's the character, like every character in the show, here's everything about them, right? And you add to it as the show progresses. They got to sit down and do that with the women. They need to clearly define what is Mina's character right now, because I'm not entirely certain. What is Sheeta's character? Because I really don't know. What is Statlander? Is she a face or a heel or a tweener? Or like they really got to sit down and put some time into that. All right, we beat that horse to death. All right. Like you said, speaking of characters, Stadium Stampede.
Hell yeah.
It was.
I wrote down Jerichoholics versus the Demandiacs or something like that.
Sure, I like that. I kind of wish they had gone with that. Look, this thing was goofy as hell, and we knew it would be goofy. I have no problem with that. You kind of needed the silly palate cleanser in a show that had been just red hot. And to be clear, I'm not saying this was a bad match, and I'm not saying that they lost momentum on it.
No,
I thought it was very entertaining. I thought they did some unique things. The spot with Mark Davis, supposedly going into the leg of the chair.
Yeah.
Let's just spend a minute with Mark Davis. So first of all, they do the spot where he basically lost an eye. They tape him up. He goes hunting Jack Perry, gets hit by a bus, allegedly.
Allegedly.
And then immediately is back in the arena, like teleports into the arena and is wrecking people. And I'm sitting there thinking, this man, in the span of this match, has been hit by a bus and lost an eye, and he went immediately back to work. If I have a slightly upset tummy, I'm calling into work. Like,
he needs to talk to HR. And I mean,
yeah. Get him some workman's comp, like, immediately. But
okay, the bus spot, I get it. But at no point did it even appear that he was close to being in those vehicles. And so having Tony Schiavone oversell the fact that he was in there, it's like, dude, we saw the video. We could see he wasn't there.
Yeah.
We saw that. I don't mind you going, was he in sure, leave me some doubt. But even Perry looks immediately and goes, where the hell is he?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know he's not there.
Yeah.
Again, it's a minor nitpick because it was goofy. It was super entertaining. I don't really even care that that's a thing. I really don't either. But you're right. Yeah. It's like, at least leave him out another
little
3
bit.
minutes. Give him 3 minutes or something. But it was like, crash. Holy crap, he's getting power slammed. What happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, the man teleported into the arena. I mean, it was so apparently Mark Davis has superpowers. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, look, really goofy, really fun. I hope that this is a blow off. I hope that Jericho's moving on to other stuff.
Yes.
I don't think he is, because if it's not the blow off, or if it is the blow off, I should say, why does he hit the lion salt on not Ricochet?
See, that's what I said. I was like, okay, I don't think they're done.
I don't think so either.
Jericho, because he didn't get to pin Ricochet.
Yeah.
Bishop Khan ate the pin.
Yeah, he took the bullet. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But I don't hear, like, if that continues, okay, I guess. Yeah. But what I'm excited about is if this leads to the Dogs versus the Bucks, or the Hurt Syndicate, or even the Demand against the Hurt Syndicate, at least Bishop Khan and Toa Leone.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you say?
No, you're right.
Did you say
Well,
Ashley?
I thought you were going to say him and Lashley.
Oh, I thought
throwing hands.
No, if you give me those 4 tag teams,
yeah,
all right, because I think the Dogs versus Hurt Syndicate, I think could be a very, very good feud, and it should happen. And
yes,
with all these elements, that's what I was talking about before. Is with all these elements, I'm hoping we're going to see seeds coming out of it. There weren't a lot of clear seeds, but I could see where maybe on Wednesday we're going to get some of that. The Dogs calling out the Hurt Syndicate, or the Hurt Syndicate calling out the Dogs, or vice versa, or the Bucks, or whatever. Great. Give me that. Let's mix that up. I'm fine if you let Ricochet and Jericho walk away and they start something new. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I don't either.
I'm fine if we do.
Yeah, I agree with you on all fronts on that. One other thing I'd like to point out before we move on from this match. Shelton Benjamin is 50.
Oh, jeez.
Keep that in mind when you watch him in this match, if you haven't watched it or if you go back and watch it again. The man is 50. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm a good 6 years younger than him. And first of all, he looks way better than me. And second, I can't move like that now, let alone like Thursday, I stood up off a couch and my hip has been out of whack ever since. Okay. So keep that. I'm not kidding. That, like, I've barely been able to move. Yeah. So keep that in mind when you watch that man, that he's 50 and doing that.
Yeah. And the only other thing I'll add to that match is I think of all the cameos, the Luchasaurus cameo was one of my favorites.
That was great.
But also, I'm really happy they put a Leo Rush cameo in there. His new character is bonkers, and I will watch more of him. I love it.
Yeah. I even liked the Satnam Singh cameo, even though I don't understand why he beat up the guy that got thrown at him when you obviously know, but whatever. That's nitpicking a goofy match,
I
which
do like how they put him in his own T-shirt, so you really knew who he was in case you forgot.
exactly. Yeah. Look, goofy, but super fun.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it.
Nope. It was great.
Yeah, it was fine. It did exactly what it needed to do.
Mhm.
And then a red hot main event.
Dude. Again, top to bottom, this freaking card, so good.
Yeah. First of all, again, you go back to a lot of the past pay-per-views that AEW has done when they've stacked so much stuff into it. The crowd, so often by the time you get to the main event, it's like, okay, I got to try and reach down and get into this. And I've been in those crowds where it's like, okay, I got to try and lock in, but I'm tired. You know, they did such a good job of pacing this where the crowd was ready for it. They were into it. They positioned all the matches on this card, I think, perfectly. There's so many little things that they did with this that I loved. So just the entrances alone, I want to tip my cap to both men who before Justin Roberts had said a word on the mic, it felt like a big fight.
Yeah.
The way they walked in, the way that they spotlighted the Clippers and MJF looked at it, but then tried to lock back in. Here's a subtle thing. MJF, what he was wearing, call back to Surfer Sting. The color scheme, Sting had worn that before.
Okay.
So you've got the little, right, psychological thing of, oh, look, I'm going to kind of dress like your mentor, right? Everything about it before they've even rung the bell felt massive. The way Darby came to the ring, like all of it, they did so good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course,
I thought Darby's pre-pack, I thought his pre-recorded intro was so good. Like,
I did have to ask, do you have to get like a special permit to film in the New York City sewer?
I would assume you better. Otherwise, if you don't, the Ninja Turtle's going to whoop your ass.
Well, I was going to say, that's my other thing. Apparently, Darby is a Ninja Turtle now.
He's trained with Shredder. Don't you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it Shredder? Oh, wait. Who is the other? Not Shredder.
Splinter.
Master Splinter. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe he has trained with Shredder.
Maybe both. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe both. But anyway, and then you got that match, which I don't know what to say other than, again, if you take Okada and Takeshita off this card, I'm talking about this as match of the night and potential match of the year. Like,
I think you could still throw it in contention for match of the year.
Sure.
It's so good. It's so good.
The way that Darby immediately came out going for those side headlock takeovers and look, how that man survived, because again, unless it was a blood pack, like unless that was fake blood, he got busted open the hard way on that coffin drop from the scaffolding and through the table, which made me go, I don't know how he's not concussed. Right. I mean, I just, it was great. I loved everything about it. I loved, there was a sense of desperation from both guys in it.
Absolutely.
You know, I think they did a great job telling the story of like, look, Darby has defended the crap out of this title and he's beat up. He's just beat up, you know, and it was great.
Yeah. I mean, there was no way this was planned at that first dive outside where his feet caught on the top rope and he landed really hard.
Yeah.
I was afraid that this match was going to get cut.
I was too.
Because of that. And I'm really glad Darby is a maniac and he was able to, you know, I legitimately hope he's okay. But the fact that he was able to get up, perform as well as he did, and apparently not be concussed from that or from the fall from, you know, the rafters. But the bang bang at the top, so good.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back to that dive, if you watch it again, because it happened so early in the match, let me give some credit here to Darby's athleticism. You can see, especially on the replay where he saves it, where he knows
Yep.
like, uh-oh,
Yep.
and he manages to tuck and save it, where live it looked like he took it all on his neck. And as I recall, on the replay, you can see he kind of hits more on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Which still sucks, but but
Again, you're not wrong. He did. You could see, especially in the above the eagle eye view, you could see him flying. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, balls!" Tucks and barely gets it, but he does. And if he wasn't such a genius with his body, that would have been disastrous.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of other people were stopping that match, or were stopping down for a while medical legit checks him out. But anyway, great match. Before we move on to what happened after it, I will say this again: what you talked about kind of at the start of you either wrap up stories or you open up a bunch. I think we've opened up a bunch with MJF having the belt back, because
absolutely,
yeah, because here are my thoughts. So my guess is Darby's going to take some time off.
I hope
he
so.
should.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably not running that back, and more than likely, historically speaking, we're going to get probably MJF versus, I don't even know who the IWGP champ is right now. But we're probably going to get champion versus champion, or somebody from New Japan is probably going to challenge at Forbidden Door, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But what I find fascinating here is, what does MJF do next? Not taking out the Forbidden Door of it. Like, does he just do some pre-taped on Dynamite for a while? Because like I said on Wednesday, I think the best thing for him to do now is say, hey, all you people that have just been calling your shot that Darby was going to give you shot, like Roosh and whoever else, no, we're done with that.
Right.
I think that's the best move for him. So I think you've got a lot of interesting storytelling potential here. I'm wondering, does Darby come back at All In and cost Max the belt there? Because again, I think it's going to be him and Ospreay. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Ospreay win it clean.
Yes.
But who knows? But I think,
speaking of which, I did not see the clean finish coming. I
didn't either.
But respect, because it was a believable clean pin, because they'd been beating the tar out of each other. And just, again, so well done. Give me something that I kind of expected, MJF winning, but not the way I thought. So still keep me surprised.
Yep.
Again, the storytelling in the ring tonight was great.
It was tremendous. Yeah. And you know what? Taz is a guy that I've been kind of hard on. I want to give him some credit. Post-match, he said it, and I think he said it brilliantly, of just, you get an avalanche tombstone, that's it. You're done. And I thought he did a great job just by saying that, of going like, that's why MJF won. Like, yes, they had beaten each other to, half to death. But yeah, an avalanche tombstone, that's got to suck.
Right.
Kayfabe.
And it worked, because he'd been selling how resilient Darby is. Even Taz was saying, look, I don't like the kid, but man, you can't take away his resilience. He's durable. He'll do crazy things with his body. But yeah, you're right. When he's like, you take one of those, I don't care who you are, you're done. And clean pin, perfect. Loved it.
Yep. And again, you've got a lot of storytelling that opens up here. And then what happened post-match, I think, opens up even more.
Yep.
What I found fascinating about Kevin Knight turning here was to do it on Darby. Because you and I have been saying for a while, I think the heel turn's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But, buddy, I thought it was going to be on Speedball.
I did too.
Which made all the sense in the world. So for him to then hit his finisher on Darby on the stretcher really surprised me. And again, I think it opens up storytelling potential here, because now you've got a heel Kevin Knight with the TNT Championship. I would assume Speedball's going to eventually come for it. And they're going to have that personal beef on top of, the title match. It makes me wonder what deal he made with the devil. Because if you watch Max, he sells it as, I knew this was coming. So it makes you wonder. And it makes me wonder then, when Darby does come back, if I'm right that he's going to take some time off, does he go after Max first? Or does he go after Kevin Knight?
I think he goes after Kevin Knight.
I think he does too.
And
so
I thought for a second, I was like, I can't believe it. But then I was like, it kind of made sense to me from a Kevin Knight point of view without MJF's involvement. Because Kevin's been all about, look, we're taking this over. We're running the show. He gave Darby the, you've got it. And having him lose to MJF after Kevin had beat MJF, I could see him taking his frustration out on Darby. You let us down. You let me down. I could have been the champ because I know I can beat him because I have beaten him and you lost. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's interesting.
That was the mind frame that I was looking at it. And I just figured MJF just likes it whenever anybody gets screwed. So,
and you may be right, but he look, MJF on his nonverbals is really good.
Yes, he is.
And since he's gotten into acting, I think he's only gotten better, right? And the way that he did it just really felt to me like, yeah, I knew. Like, you guys are going to find out that we had a little something cooking here, Right. And I think that will be fascinating.
Yeah.
Let me shout out Tony Khan in the post-show press conference. Somebody specifically asked him about the heel turn, to which Tony said, I think we should hear from him and hear what he has to say on Wednesday. That's a good tease, my man. That is a good tease.
Yep. So, well done, Tony.
Yeah, they did a great job with, everything. Like we said, they did a great job with everything. Great show. Really good job. Really curious to see where we go from here. Okay, you ready for my list of moves that made me make audible sounds?
Yes, because I'm guessing they're going to be a lot of the things that made me go, ugh.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We start, this is going to go chronological. We start with that big boot from Lena Cross on the outside. Dude.
I totally forgot about that one. Oh my God.
I thought she took her head off. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Basically everything in the Okada Takeshita match.
Yeah.
Athena catching Mina on her shoulders and slamming her.
Oh yeah, brutal.
But it was a really cool move. But like the way she slammed her, I was like, that hurt.
Yeah.
The curb stomp on Mina, where we think Mina broke her nose.
Uh-huh.
When O'Reilly kicked the ring post, because it felt to me like he kicked it harder than he had to.
Yes.
The chops from Joe on Ospreay at the start of the match. I think my breath left my body.
So loud too. I was like, oh my God.
When Joe threw Ospreay into the barrier, that was hard.
Yes.
The shoulder block from Swerve on Bandido was one of the most brutal shoulder blocks I've seen in a while.
Yep.
The poison Rana to the floor that Bandido hit on Swerve that I mentioned earlier.
Uh-huh.
Basically everything from the final probably 3 minutes of that match you could put on this list. Thekla's boot to Statlander's head as Stat was sliding out of the ring.
Dude, yeah.
I thought Concussion Jones for sure.
Okay, Taz.
Yeah. I thought actually Taz was pretty good, so I'm going to shout him out there. I thought he was pretty good.
I know, but you hate it when he does that.
I do.
It's starting to get to you, so yeah.
I know. That's why I'm going to shout him out. I thought he did a good job and he stayed away from. I particularly liked when Shivani mentioned the Mets being bad and he just went, kiss my ass.
Yep.
The spear from Connors on Lashley in Stadium Stampede was his spear. Connors might have the best spear in wrestling right now. I mean,
again, I'm a big fan of Connors. I think Burt Connors is
I am too.
So good. I love the dogs right now without the first guy whose name I don't even remember or care to.
Gabe Kidd. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing against Gabe Kidd, but these two together are so good.
I agree. But that spear was something, man. And then, of course, the Darby dive, where he almost broke his neck. That was probably a not comprehensive list, but those are the ones I wrote down anyway.
Yeah. Who broke the LED board? I don't remember. One of the women.
Mina.
Mina
Yeah, they
broke.
threw
Okay.
Mina into it. Yeah.
That looked brutal.
It did.
That one made me go, ooh.
I actually made a note on that one of throwing someone into the LED board and breaking it is like my favorite wrestling cliche right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I know that you didn't really break it more often than not, but it still looks cool. So
she might have wrecked it for a minute because
she might have. I mean, they turned it off, you know. But I will.
Good.
Yeah, because it's spread, right? Like usually it's just one panel that goes out, and that's how you know like they faked it.
Mm-hmm.
But they managed to take out a couple pixels or whatever on the other one, and I don't know if they had that preloaded. The reason that I don't think she actually did break it, and again, I'd have to go watch the show again, oh darn, to see if it came back. But when it does the like if you're really breaking it, if it's going to do that glitch thing, it's going to do it immediately.
Mm.
And if you watch, there's a little delay. So,
well, I bought it because
again, it's like my favorite. Yeah, well, no, it's like my favorite cliche right now. Like, I don't care. I think it looks cool. Keep doing it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway,
I guess if it was going to happen, I didn't expect it during that match. So.
I didn't either. Yeah, that was a hard hitting match, man.
Yep. Like I said, those two went, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Man, I love this pay-per-view. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, it was incredible. We've talked about like playing around with some new segments and stuff, and I thought, oh, maybe we'll debut one of like, what worked and what didn't here, except that we had a better name that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. And no, this is not the show to do it because everything worked.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, it was tremendous. No notes. You guys did great.
Hats off.
Yeah. And wow, am I curious to see what happens on Wednesday.
Yep. So good. I think storytelling wise from start to finish, almost everything was damn near perfect. The women still need some help, but it wasn't terrible. But so many new things have opened up now, and I'm very happy about that.
I am too.
About that.
Yeah, so. Really, really curious to see where we go next. And that is, I think, exactly what you want from a wrestling pay-per-view.
Yeah, so hats off to AEW, Tony Khan, everybody who took part. So good. Yep. Very happy.
So, if you haven't hit the subscribe buttons and all that stuff, you should do that because, again, Wednesday should be a really interesting Dynamite. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about there. So hit subscribe, hit like, hit follow, hit all those things, hit the 5 stars, follow us on social media at Elite Heat Pod. And let's talk about Dynamite on Wednesday, which should be a very, very interesting show.
Yep. And we'll see if Tim turns on me.
I am wearing all black.